Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news as we discuss a ridiculous price that's been set by Spurs on Harry Kane. I really think this signing, as good as Harry Kane is going to be more problematic than signing Mbappe, and you're going to end up with Harry Kane. We'll talk about that. Also the latest on Marcus Rashford's injury and how long that's expected to be. Early days potentially, but not looking good. Ten Hag had a big moan yesterday, of course. We've got some updates coming in from, I think it's the Telegraph, about the midfield targets, as well as Jude Bellingham being mentioned again as well. Also want to come back on a little bit of Twitter trolling. I think there was a bit of Twitter trolling yesterday. A few people weren't happy with the fact that I gave Harry Maguire 5.5 in my player ratings, right? I see David De Gea get clipped up every single game. Played really well yesterday, distribution-wise. I've not heard one clip about it. I saw Bruno Fernandes play man of the match against Brentford on Wednesday. Most people gave him an average 6. So don't talk to me about player ratings. And I'll explain why I gave Harry Maguire 5.5 and why I'm not going to change it. It's got nothing to do with agenda. I've watched the game again this morning. I've looked at the highlights, and there's 3 issues in that game that if he makes one of those mistakes, you're all calling him a load of crap and telling him to be sold. So actually, I think the flip-flops are the people who are trying to call my player rating out, because they're not watching the game and not realising how thin the ice was on you lot being sell him immediately, which is not what I'm saying. I don't think he's even going to leave in the summer. But let's get straight into the news. We are going to start off with a story that's come in from the Mirror. As we know, the Mirror have been very good in relation to Manchester United since the Ten Hag era began. And they are saying that Tottenham will demand in excess of £100 million for Harry Kane if he shows that he's got no interest in signing a new deal. Erik Ten Hag is demanding a world-class striker this summer, and that is expected to be Harry Kane. But Spurs want in excess of £100 million for Harry Kane this summer if he refuses to sign a new contract. And let's be completely honest here, this is very likely to happen. We've been talking about it for a few weeks. We keep hearing there's almost a sense of glee in some of the British journalists that Erik Ten Hag wants Harry Kane as his number 1 target. Because you know what? It's the passport, babe. It ticks that passport thing. Another British player that we can overhype. The reality is Harry Kane is world class. But this sense of glee, Reese, welcome to the Members Club, is so short-sighted. Because I can see it, you can see it, a bloody mile off, we are going to get absolutely played by Spurs. Absolutely. You get what you pay for, says Robert McCormack. Well, Robert, you don't get what you pay for. Paying 120 million for Harry Kane or 110 million pounds for Harry Kane or even 100 million pounds for Harry Kane is like paying 50 pounds for a Big Mac. It's not realistic. I don't care how hungry you are. It's not realistic. Go down Burger King and get a Whopper. That's what I say, because there ain't no way he's worth 100 million pounds. He's got 1 year left on his deal. I don't care how good he is. I don't care how good Harry Kane is. At some point, you don't get bent over like United continually do. You can't have another Sancho, Maguire, Anthony, Wan-Bissaka situation where and look, let's not forget, Kane's agent's going to do us over as well. People forget about this. They think these players come and sign for United, they hold the shirt up. Oh, they love United. They love United. They probably like the fact that they're coming to Man United, but let's not forget, every player we've bought over the last 3 or 4 years has bled us dry for wages. So let's not pretend they're coming here to play here for free. Harry Kane's wage at Spurs is what, 200 grand a week? At least 300 grand a week he's going to want when he comes to the club. So let's not pretend he's coming to his boyhood club or, it's his dream to play for Man United. Spurs will bend us over, and so will Harry Kane and his agent. So at some point it's got to stop. That's what I'm saying. You can't pay £100 million for a player that's got 1 year left on his contract and is 30 and has never won anything. At some point, you've got to sit down to Spurs and Harry Kane, and say, look, Harry Kane, is there no part of you that goes and knocks on the door to Spurs and says, what the bloody hell's going on? I've given blood, sweat and tears to this club for 10 years, and you're now going to try and outprice me out of the market. Where's the gratitude in that, you shits? Harry Kane should be forcing that move, because Man United, Luke Conlon, welcome to Members Club. Hi Mark, I'd rather get ripped off by Napoli than ripped off by Spurs, says John, and welcome to Members Club, Cameron, appreciate that as well. But Manchester United's stance has to be this. We're not paying £100 million for a player that's got 12 months left on his contract. We're not paying £100 million for a player that's 30, and we're not paying £100 million for a player that's never won anything in their career. get real. We'll give you 70. And if Spurs go, no, the bidding starts at 100 million, you pick up the phone to Harry Kane and his agent, you go, we're off to speak to Napoli, we're off to speak to Benfica, we're even off to speak to Atalanta about the young striker, we might even speak to Brighton, but we're not wasting any more time with Spurs. If you want to get them back in the ring, drag them in yourself, because you ain't worth £100 million, no way. And you want 300 grand a week, forget about it. Sign your new deal at Spurs and show us how ambition you are. I'd do that. I'd throw it to Harry Kane and his agent. I'd say, forget it. Yes, we want you, but we missed out on Ronaldinho before. We've missed out on players before. There's plenty of other strikers out there we can go for where we can get a better deal. We ain't paying you 300 grand a week and 100 million pounds to Spurs and dancing to their tune all summer. You've got nowhere to go, Harry. No one else is buying you. You're not leaving the Premier League. Bayern won't pay that. Liverpool, Man City, they ain't going to pay that. Newcastle won't pay it. Chelsea won't pay it. Where are you going to go? And good luck to you if you find someone who can. We're off. See you later. And then Harry Kane has got to publicly hand in a transfer request and force that move. That's what I would do. That's what negotiating is. You know United are going to spend all summer going, no matter what, we want Harry Kane. We don't care about anything. We want Harry Kane. Also, we just want Harry Kane. And Spurs are going to be going, it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you. And you can just see this happening. And this is the thing. Harry Kane's a world-class striker. But we're going to turn this deal into something it's not. We are not pursuing Mbappe. We are not pursuing prime Messi. We are pursuing a Spurs striker who is world class, but ain't worth wasting our whole summer on. And I think we're going to do it. He won't play a game for us before September. He won't be on the tour, and it'll cost us a lot of money. And I think it's ridiculous. And I don't care how much Erik ten Hag wants him. Don't tell me Harry Kane is worth spending £100 million on and all summer when there's other options like Osimhen and others out there. I like Harry Kane, and if it was a quick deal, let's do it. But if they can't see the warning signs here, this is another De Jong where we'll actually end up getting Kane, but it will take all summer and it will cost us a lot of money. And we've got to stop being that club. We have to. We have to stop doing it. Hi Mark, today it's my little cousin Finley's birthday. He's 9. Can we get a special birthday shout out to him in the comments? I'm sure we can, Nick. Big shout out to Finley. Happy birthday. And you know what? I think the big thing for me is that I like Harry Kane as a striker, but I was saying this yesterday in a chat group. There's a lot of people like Robert McCormack and co who do like Harry Kane. I'm telling you now, I watch a lot of Harry Kane. He is going to divide this fan base very, very quickly. He will be liked by a lot, but there'll be a lot who really aren't that keen on him because he is quite a frustrating player. I watch him for Spurs and, you know, he's a bit like Rashford in the sense that, you know, I love Rashford, so I'd probably love Harry Kane, but what I'm saying is he can be in and out of a game quite a lot, and that can get quite frustrating. He can be quite selfish. He can wander into areas where you probably don't want your number 9. I don't think Harry Kane signs for United and is instantly loved like Van Persie. I think he's probably a player that's going to come in and divide a little bit anyway. Even though I think I would quite like him, I just sense that I don't think he'd be an instant fan favourite. I just don't think he's... I just don't know. I don't know. But what will annoy me the most is if we sign Harry Kane and Chelsea sign Osimhen. That to me is just a failure. Mark, Real Madrid paid over 100 million for Hazard with 12 minutes left on his contract, so I can imagine United would do the same, says Liam G. Liam, do you want me to dwell on that, or do you want me to sweep it under the carpet and pretend you never put it out there? You're seriously considering Eden Hazard compared to Harry Kane? Okay. Yeah, we'll leave that one to hang there. I mean, Eden Hazard was literally probably one of the best players in the world at that point. And I don't think they paid 100. I thought it was 80. But, yeah, okay. You know, if the Glazers still... And also, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Eden Hazard might have won things. You know, if Glazer's still here, 7 season will start and we'll still be chasing Kane, says Dazzo. Well, the interesting thing to that is, and this was also in the Mirror as well, they're saying that Manchester United are also interested in Borussia Dortmund's Jude Bellingham, but landing Kane is the priority. That was also from the people who were talking about Harry Kane, and I think that's a great point there that we can sort of bring in here. If we are owned by the Glazers, this is the sort of thing that happens, yeah? Man United would like Jude Bellingham, but their priority is Harry Kane. What does that statement say to you? Man United would like Jude Bellingham, but their priority is Harry Kane. Straight away, cut through the shit. You know what that means. We haven't got a big budget. We've got about 120 million. We'll spend that on Kane, and there'll be nothing left for Bellingham. That's the summer you've got. with the Glazers. You want a quick glimpse into the summer with the Glazers and the summer with a new owner. New owner, you get Kane, you get Bellingham, you get a centre-back because they want to show you their ambition. Glazers, you get Kane and maybe a couple of other low-level signings, but you don't get the world-class striker and the world-class midfielder. That's the summer you're facing. If the Glazers are still here, they'll give us Kane. They're not stupid. They'll give us a big signing, but they won't give us 2 or 3. New owners will give you 2 or 3 and they'll start building the stadium. That's the world we're living in. We can enjoy yesterday. We can worry about Rashford. We can discuss Harry Kane, but the big picture is you've got a summer where you know what's happening with the Glazers. It'll be Kane all summer and not much else. Or you've got new owners where it will be a world-class striker, it will be a world-class midfielder, and it'll probably be a world-class centre-back as well, because that's what they'll want to do. So the sale has gone very quiet. It has gone very quiet because I think the Glazers are trying to make it go quiet. If I'm being honest, I think they're trying to, make it go quiet. I like what Adam says, one of our members. I trust Ten Hag to decide. But, you know what, Adam? There's always another angle, isn't there? If Eric Ten Hag wants Frankie de Jong, Timber and Harry Kane, you go and get Timber, Frankie de Jong and Harry Kane. But you don't go and pay ridiculous money. Like, I know you should always try and get what your manager wants, but you don't go and pay ridiculous money in wages on a player that's not worth it. And that falls onto the club. That's where you say to Ten Hag, look, we're not going to pay that amount of money for that player. We're just not going to do it. We've been ridiculed enough. It's not worth it. We're not going to do it. There has to be... That's why you need a good director of football. I know I sometimes say, look, you've got to go and get the players that Eric Ten Hag wants, and you have, but there has to be a reason for it. We need a good director of football. That's what we need. We need a good director of football because I think that there has to be that determination and aggression to go and get the players that Ten Hag wants, but there also has to be a limit. But I think, actually, it's so easy to solve. You don't have to say no to Ten Hag if Spurs demand £100 million and they're messing us around all summer. You don't have to say no to Ten Hag. You just pick up the phone to Harry Kane's agent and you go, we're backing out. You've been at that club for 10 years. You've got 1 year left on your deal. You've never won anything. Man United's the dream ticket for you. And we're fighting Spurs for £100 million. Whack a transfer request in and burn your bridges and we'll be there to pick you up. Trust us and we'll trust you. You force that move because we ain't paying £100 million. And that's what United need to do. Get me Osman, says Grand. I would love Osman at Manchester United. Now, the interesting story in the Mirror as well is also this. And I cannot get on board with this, but I have to concede it's everywhere. And I want to get your thoughts on it. Anthony Martial's failure to stay fit means the Frenchman will be made available at the end of the season. I see this all over the place and I cannot understand it. I don't get it. But everybody is saying it, that Anthony Martial will be available for sale in the summer. I can't get my head around it for 2 reasons. One, even yesterday, Eric Ten Hag spent so much time talking about Anthony Martial and how important he is. And 2, if you're selling him because he can't stay fit, the rest of the football world's not thick. So who's going to buy Anthony Martial, who's on 200 grand a week, because we're selling him because he's injury prone? I don't know whether this is just lazy journalism or United stupidity feeding it to the journalists, but it makes no sense for United to sell Martial because he can't stay fit. Because everybody will know we're selling him because he can't stay fit and he's on 200 grand a week, so who's going to bloody buy him? So, and also Ten Hag loves Martial, so I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but it doesn't logically make a lot of sense that, we're just going to sell a player because he can't stay fit. We're probably going to keep players like McTominay and Maguire and a few others that aren't on the level of Martial, but they can stay because they're not good enough, but they stay fit. I mean, I suppose that's quite logical in some ways, but I think the squad needs to be improved. I don't think it's about who stays fit. I think you need to improve the quality in the squad. And Martial, I mean, look, we've got no Rashford. I'm going to talk about Rashford in a minute. We've got no Marcus Rashford. We need Martial more than ever. If Martial gets injured again, I'd pay his contract off. I would. I'd be like, bloody hell, we need you and you're injured again. I get the injury concern, but I mean, I just don't think you can say Martial's for sale. If he stays fit for the next month while Rashford's injured, I mean, what more does he need to do? And he scores goals. I just can't see it. What I'm trying to say is, and I'll do it very, very succinct. Martial's not going anywhere if he stays fit in the next month and scores goals, because he will have helped us out of a big problem. No way we can pay £100 million for Kane and not even go for Osman instead. Would be pure stupidity. So Stuart and Ryan, welcome to the members club as well. So yeah, that was just on Martial. Now there is some updates coming in on the strikers, but I want to just Harry says it is definitely lazy journalism. Martial is a great option off the bench, and as you said, Erik ten Hag likes him. Thank you very much, Harry Jones, for being a member for 3 months. Well, I want to talk about this Rashford thing. A couple of things. I still need to bring you some update. I won't forget anyway, but there's an update around Declan Rice. Also mention of McAllister. This is all in the Telegraph, so we'll talk about that in a minute. And there's a bit of an update on Frimpong, and I do want to come back to that Maguire thing, because I think you've got to listen to your audience, and even trolls. Sometimes you have to listen to them when they're trying to call you out for something that didn't happen. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But we're dealing with the news. That's what we do on the United Stand. So smash a like on the video and make sure you subscribe. We're live every morning at 10 o'clock, even if it is an Easter Sunday. Happy Easter if you're celebrating it. Happy Easter egg day if you just like getting chocolate. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe. Hope you're all doing really well this morning. Fantastic result for Manchester United yesterday, but of course we saw Marcus Rashford limping off. Now Erik ten Hag had quite a lot to say after the game. He was not happy about 3 games in 6 days, and said it's ridiculous, and almost pointed the finger at that's why Marcus Rashford got injured. I agree with Eric. I've been on about this all season. I think it's remarkable what Erik ten Hag has achieved in his first season. And, you know, and I think many of you have agreed me on this. I've been speaking about this since August, about that if you want to have a good season, it's almost impossible, because the way the calendar's been set up this year is just ridiculous. We started this season right at the start of August. And pretty much since then, we've been playing 3 games a week, every 3.5 days. Then we've had a World Cup, then we've come back, and then it's been every 3.5 days, and then we've just had 3 games in 6 days. We played Sunday afternoon and Saturday lunchtime with a game in between. The schedule's ridiculous. I'm not surprised that Marcus Rashford's injured. I wouldn't be surprised if we pick up a few more. We've had our fair share of injuries anyway. It was absolutely inevitable. So whilst I agree with Erik ten Hag, I almost feel like going, well, what do people expect? 3 games in 6 days, it's not really any different to playing Thursday night, Sunday lunchtime, which we've done before. 2 games in 2.5 days. We've been subjected to a ridiculous schedule for too long. I think in a general sense, footballers are having to play too much football. The Champions League final's not till the 10th of June. Then there's internationals until like the 17th of June. And then we're going on tour at the start of July. It's relentless for the modern footballer how much football they've got to play, and I completely agree with that. But this is not down to the fans. This is down to the powers that be, UEFA, FIFA, the Premier League. I completely agree with Ten Hag, but we all knew it was going to happen. As I said yesterday, I just think Ten Hag does treat Rashford like Bruno. Now, Bruno's an absolute robot. I don't know how he plays with such intensity every game. I think he could play 2 games a day. Marcus Rashford worries me. Marcus Rashford is a flair player. He's an explosive player. And those types of players, we saw it with Ryan Giggs, you can just pick up these tears and pulls that can put you out for 5 weeks. I think Rashford should have been took off. I still say that, because I don't think you can compare Bruno Fernandes to Marcus Rashford. And I think Rashford could have picked that injury up at any point, but I do think that Rashford should not have been playing 3 games in 6 days anyway. Ten Hag will argue that maybe he didn't have the options, but that's not down to Ten Hag either. We know we had a rubbish January transfer window, and maybe it's an area that you could look at the Glazers again if you wanted to. This is down to squad depth, having to use Rashford all the time, and now we haven't got him for a few games. I was looking at the schedule for Manchester United. We've not had anything confirmed yet, but every suggestion, and we do get quite good updates in relation to injuries. I remember at the end of last season, we knew that Ronaldo was not going to play the final game, and we've had stuff about Varane and Martial quite recently. We knew he wasn't going to play until the international break. But, from what is being heard, and to be fair, this is nothing exclusive, it's also out there publicly, but what we're hearing around Marcus Rashford is that the fear, he's got to have a scan, and the fear is that is a groin issue, and that it really will come down to how quick he can heal. Could be 2-3 weeks, could be 5 or 6 weeks. Now, if it's 2 or 3 weeks, we see him. It's the 9th today, so you're looking at 1, 2, 3. He wouldn't be back until early May, which means he misses the Cup semi-finals and the Europa League quarter-finals, but he might be back for the Europa League semi-finals and the Premier League running. If it's 5 or 6 weeks, you're pushing him to the middle of May, and he's only going to be back for Cup finals and the last couple of Premier League games. So I think that's the thing with Rashford. It's about how long he's going to be out. And we can all hope that there's some miracle that he's absolutely fine and he plays against Sevilla, because let's be honest, these things have happened in the past. But that's a player that's pulled something straight away, known he's done it straight away, and then been in pain walking off. So I personally think you're looking at 3 to 6 weeks. Hopefully it's 3-4 weeks, then he's back for the Europa League semi-final if we make it. If it's 5 to 6 weeks, he'll do well to be back for the finals if we get there, and the last couple of games of the Premier League, which means, you know, it's a problem that we've got to deal with. We can't cry about it. It's ridiculous to lose such an important player, and it's terrible for Rashford, but you've got to try and find a way. And I think Martial becomes really important, because there were so many positives from the game yesterday, but the positives of the last 2 games has been, you know, defences are terrified of our speed. Weghorst has made us a very, very... Look at Man United against Newcastle. I know Newcastle are better than Brentford and Everton, but their defence was on the halfway line and they were absolutely comfortable. I don't know why Sean Dyche played a high line against us yesterday, but it was footballing suicide, and that movement and speed all comes because you make the pitch big. We were talking about how much space there was on the pitch yesterday, and that's because we're moving their defence back and forward all the time. It's creating space because of the pace. You can't do that with Weghorst. You're not going to move the back line back because they're not going to move back because they're not scared. So you become condensed and there's no space. We need to keep Weghorst out of the team. Now, the only way to keep Weghorst out of the team is with a fit Anthony Martial. But, you know, we need Martial to do something in the final month or 7 weeks of the season that he's not done in the previous 7 months, and that's stay fit for a month. We desperately need Martial to step up. Happy Easter, Mark, says Solid Blake. Thank you, mate. Just a couple of other news stories, and then I'm going to come back to this Maguire thing. So the Ten Hag, this is from the Telegraph. It says Ten Hag would welcome more competition in central midfield. Casemiro and Eriksen are his first choice. Well, water is wet, although apparently it isn't. Man United have an interest in West Ham's Declan Rice for that position. This is coming from the Telegraph. But Ten Hag will target a central midfielder for Manchester United squad this summer, with Brighton pair Caicedo and McAllister among the short list of players considered as potential signings. Well, I've got to say, this is music to my ears. We do need to bring in a midfielder, and the fact that we're looking at Rice, Caicedo, McAllister, Bellingham, De Jong, Kone, this is good. The more we look at, the better, because that Manchester United midfield over the last 3 games has exploited the big problem that we've got. They all played well yesterday. I thought Sabitzer, Bruno, McTominay, I give them all a good score. I thought they all played well. But across the last 3 games, if we're being completely honest, we've got a massive problem in our midfield. You know, even yesterday I was a little bit concerned that Everton might dominate us, and that's why I gave them a good mark, because they played well, our midfield. But McTominay, Sabitzer, Fred didn't even start any of the games. Bruno playing as a CDM. If you can't see the warnings, there's a huge warning. That midfield is lightweight. We've got a lot of options, but we don't have enough options in areas where we can rotate or survive if we get injuries. There is no... Bruno Fernandes is not a replacement for Casemiro. He was man of the match yesterday and he was brilliant, but that's at home to a relegation team. If you're away at Anfield or the Etihad or at home to Arsenal, we'll get absolutely annihilated with that midfield yesterday. Bruno was heroic and McTominay and Sabitzer did well, but they would get beaten down by a proper midfield. We need Casemiro and Eriksen, and we need somebody else who can come in and be at that level. Fair play to the midfield yesterday. Brentford, Newcastle, they were shit, but, you know, fair play to them for doing a job, but it's not a long-term job. We can't go, what I'm trying to say is we can't say let's not buy a midfielder because we've got Bruno and McTominay and Sabitzer who can do a job. The job won't be good enough if you're missing Casemiro and Eriksen against big teams. So, absolute music to my ears that people like Declan Rice, Caicedo, and McAllister and a few others are on the shortlist, because we 100% need to bring in, I'd say 2, but desperately need to bring in 1 really good midfielder to enhance that midfield, because too many times this season, especially, we lose Casemiro and were like, I mean, I'm actually over the moon with 6 points from 9. I wanted 7, but after that Newcastle game, to beat Everton and Brentford, I didn't care how we did it. Well done to the team. We needed those points. Look at bloody Spurs beating Brighton yesterday as well. Jammy gets. I mean, I've never seen such. I mean, and you know what? People say, look at him, red-tinted glasses United fan. I've been going on about refereeing decisions all season, whether it's on here or on That's Football. It's a disgrace. The Arsenal offside, that was not against us. That was against Brentford. The Casemiro red cards, and then that Matoma, 2 incidences yesterday, absolutely disgusting. But that gives Spurs 3 points and puts them back in the top 4 race with us. So look, we've done well to get these 6 points, but no Casemiro. We've got to do something about it in the summer. Thoughts on Ahmad in Sunderland for next season? I don't really care, mate. I mean, I think it's great what Ahmad's doing, but I've been quite consistent about this. Ahmad's next job as a Man United player is to get on the tour and impress Ten Hag. And then his next job is not to be loaned out or sold and to be part of the first team plans next year. That's what Ahmad's got to do. I'm very excited about it, but, he's proven himself in the Championship with Sunderland. Another goal, I'm sure he'll score a few more goals. His next job is to be back fit for the tour and impress ahead of some of the players that we've got, which will be very difficult considering Sancho, Anthony, Rashford, Pellistri, Garnacho. So that's the next job for Ahmad, and I'm certainly looking forward to it. But he's completed the mission in the Championship, and he's done it with bells on top. So yeah, very, very pleased with Ahmad. There is another story about Frimpong as well, and then I'm just going to come back to a couple of other things. Man United target Frimpong. This is coming from Germany. Loves Manchester, where he arrived from Amsterdam with his parents when he was 7 years old. I didn't even know that. So there you go. This Frimpong has such a massive story going on with Frimpong at the moment, and I think it's really, really interesting. I was on the Talk Sport show yesterday, and a United fan called in about the right back situation and was asking about it, and we were sort of discussing it. And I said, I don't massively understand what's going on at right back, because Wan-Bissaka was fantastic yesterday, and Diallo is going to sign a new contract and was fantastic at the start of the season. So I look at the right back and I think we don't need to spend any money there. We've got the 2 right backs that we need, and they're very different and they complement each other just as well as Malacia and Shaw. So I just look at it and I go, we don't need a right back. But then the Frimpong story is true. So if we're buying Frimpong, Wan-Bissaka's getting sold, because Diallo's signing a new contract. Now, it's not up to you, and it's not up to me. I'm telling you what's going on at the club. Diallo is signing a new contract. So he's not being sold. We're signing Frimpong. Wan-Bissaka's getting sold. I don't want that to happen. I want Wan-Bissaka and Diallo to stay. I've always liked Wan-Bissaka. I mean, I'll admit, I've said we should sell him because it looked like it was not looking good for him, did it, at the start of the season? But I've always liked Wan-Bissaka. I don't think he's worth 50 million quid. I think he's been brilliant this season. He was brilliant again yesterday. He's been brilliant since Christmas. I don't see why we're looking at Frimpong. I think it's massively intriguing, and I think maybe some people aren't thinking it at the level of others are, but it's logically Wan-Bissaka who's being sold, because Diallo's signing a new contract, and by all accounts we're signing Frimpong. Well, we're not going to have 3 right backs, so Wan-Bissaka's getting sold. And the only theory I have is Wan-Bissaka and Ten Hag have had a chat at Christmas, and Ten Hag has said to him, if you do a job for me till the summer, you can go wherever you want. And Wan-Bissaka wanted to go in January, and there were clubs like Palace and Wolves that wanted him, and he's agreed to do a job till the end of the season on the promise that he can leave. So maybe Wan-Bissaka wants to move. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. It's always the way to look at it when you can't understand why a deal's going to go. Like maybe the Martial story is because Martial wants to leave. I don't know. So, but there's a good point from Zur. He says maybe it's Erik Ten Hag's style of play. Maybe he likes Wan-Bissaka, but he's not the sort of style of right back that he wants. Maybe, but you're going to struggle to find a right back that can do a better job than Wan-Bissaka at the moment, regardless of style of play. He's been bloody brilliant, and defensively, so good. But he's really improved going forward as well. So it's a funny one. And I can't deny that. Could we be changing the position of Diallo or Wan-Bissaka? I mean, that can always happen, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how that would work. Anyway, look, make sure you smash the like on video and subscribe. We have got the Sunday night show tonight because there's no Manchester United game today. I will be covering Liverpool's trip. Liverpool entertaining Arsenal. Huge game, 4 o'clock kickoff on the. I think it's a 4 o'clock kickoff. I'll just double check that. Anyway, I'll be live on That's Football for that one. Looking forward to it. And then I think tonight it's 4:30, so we'll be live at 4:30. We'll probably do United Stand at either 7 or 8 o'clock tonight, just to let you know about that. But we will have a Sunday night show. Oms, just remind me about Harry Maguire. Okay, so I do want to talk about this. So, look, yesterday, really pleased with the result for United. Disappointed about Rashford. Finished the watch along and the match reaction, was watching the fan forum, and then went and got some food, went out for a walk, nice day, came back, had a few notifications about just the normal nonsense really. But I have to acknowledge this because it did generate quite a lot of conversation, and I think you can't ignore that just because you're not going to acknowledge it. So basically, there was a lot of people on Twitter who were not happy. I mean, look, there's a lot of people on Twitter who just try and that they're jealous. They're jealous of communities like this. They're jealous of what we've built, and they try and make out that we're negative, even though we've been positive ever since Ten Hag came in. Probably too positive at times. I backed De Gea and other people, but I basically gave Harry Maguire a 5.5, the lowest mark out of the whole team yesterday. Everybody got higher than a 6. Apart from De Gea, who I gave a 6 because he didn't really have to do anything. And I don't think distribution of a goalkeeper makes you a 6.5, but you lot did. So I gave Maguire a 5.5. It wasn't a 5. I can't do 0.5s, as people who actually watch the channel and are educated know. I had a lot of people saying, oh, man's got an agenda, he's a hater, he's negative, this, that and the other. Well, first of all, I would say, well done for having an opinion. It's all about opinion. And secondly, with 24 hours reflection, would I change the scoreline for Harry Maguire? No, because you know what? I'm very comfortable what I gave because I gave it for the reasons I gave, and I still would give him 5.5, so I'm not going to change it. I don't care. I'm happy with what I gave. I wish I could give him a 6 or a 6.5, but I can't because it contradicts everything else I gave. I gave Malacia a 6.5. I don't think Maguire was anywhere near as good as Malacia, so I can't start giving handouts. I've given Martial a 3 before, and he's one of my favourite players. I've given Bruno a 2 before, and he's one of my favourite players. So all this agenda nonsense is rubbish. I gave McTominay a 7. I'd sell him tomorrow. I'd sell him now. I gave him a 7. So I don't carry agendas. I mark it on how I think it. Now, if some people disagree with that, I'll tell you again, and I've watched the game again. For me, that's a penalty on Demarai Gray if we have a stupid ref. Outside the box, it's a foul. He drags him to the ground, and when he's dragged him to the ground, he kicks the ball away. That's a foul. Outside the box, he's probably getting a yellow card for it. It's certainly a foul. So that's a foul. That could have been a penalty. It wasn't. If that had been a penalty, everyone would be going, kick him out my club, he's useless. Second mistake was the Sims chance, who I've heard people say, Maguire's marking somebody else. I've watched it. I watched it at the time. I watched the replay in the game. I've watched it again this morning. Martinez gets pulled out of position and Bruno gets pulled out of position because of Malacia having gone forward, which is fine. There is a 1-2 played between Coleman and Sims, which puts Sims through. At that point, you need to be looking at Harry Maguire's position. He stays on the penalty box. He should be sprinting across, and he doesn't. He hesitates, and therefore Sims has an angled run straight in towards goal where he should score, and it's a crap shot. And McTominay gets across to him quicker than Maguire does. Now, people are saying that's not Maguire's job. Maguire's marking the striker. He's not marking the striker because Sims is the striker. And Wan-Bissaka has got Demarai Gray, who is the person in the middle. As a centre-back, I don't care who you are, where you play. When Martinez is pulled out of position to left-back and the striker's running through, you have to naturally move across as a back four. You can't hold your position that you're naturally in if Martinez is there. Martinez is out of position at left-back. You've got to move across. He doesn't move across quick enough. That would have been on him if we'd scored. So there's 2 big errors there for me. And the third one is in the second half. Demarai Gray again, one-on-one, has to do very little to get a shot off. It's a bad shot, but it's a lack of pace. So I think that there was 3 incidents yesterday that could have cost us a goal. and they would have been because of him. So I gave him a 5.5. If you want to give him a 6.5 or man of the match or a 6 or a 4, it's up to you. But I ain't changing that score, and I explained it yesterday. I'll explain it again. Now, you can bring on ex-players, you can shout about it on Twitter, you can do what you like. I'm not changing it, because if I change it, it's just being generous and false. And there were 3 incidents, I explained them yesterday. That is why I gave a 6.5. McTominay, I think McTominay made some mistakes yesterday, but McTominay scored a goal at a point when we were missing sitter after sitter after sitter. That, to me, deserves a 7 in itself, because he actually did something other people wouldn't do. Anthony, Rashford, Wan-Bissaka, he scored the goal that relaxed the game. And fair play. You know, I ain't going to moan about that. So, look, it is what it is. I really hope... Look, Maguire did hit some long passes. He did win some headers. I agree with that. I agree. But I just think that sometimes, and I've seen it for years, it doesn't bother me. It is what it is. You get one good performance from a player that's not very good, and suddenly everyone's going, they're not bad. And they'll be the ones that look the idiots, because they have outed themselves off one good performance. And they go, oh, he's not that bad, he's not that bad. And I'm like... The great thing about football is you have a catalogue of evidence, and that was, what was it? Was it his 7th or 8th start in the Premier League this season? Out of 29 games, he won't be starting against Sevilla. It'll be Varane and Martinez. I don't think he's going to go anywhere, but I also don't think that when we play him, he's a natural replacement for Varane. They're very, very different players, and that's why I would like to buy a centre-back. But I think he'll be here next season. So for everybody who thought he was a good performance from him yesterday, great. You're going to get what you want. He will be here next season. He will be at Man United. He will be playing for games for Man United next season. And you know, we'll have to, hopefully I'll get proved wrong on that. But I don't think he's going anywhere. And there's nothing I would like more than for him to score a goal and start performing at 7 and 8. And I'll give him a 7 and 8 if he does it. I gave McTominay a 7 yesterday, but I'm not changing the score on it. And I don't care if 99% of you disagree with me. Well done, you've got an opinion, but I'm not changing it just because people try and bully you online into saying that you're wrong. I don't think I'm wrong. I've not plucked it out my arse. I've explained it. Really, if you're that interested in it, go and watch the Sims chants and tell me why Harry Maguire doesn't sense the danger and run across to cover the space until it's too late. Because the striker he's supposedly being marked by, he's marking, is actually being marked by Wan-Bissaka. And as I say, I don't think anyone can change my mind on that. I'm not wrong on this one, the boss. I'm right on it because it's my opinion, and you're right on your opinion, and that's where you need to educate yourself, because I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. I might be in the minority, but I'm not wrong, because that's what I honestly think, and that's what, and I've explained it. That's not wrong. It's an opinion. This is what football's all about. You can't tell somebody they're wrong about their football opinion when they're explaining it to you. That's just being ignorant. And as I said, this ridiculous notion that there are agendas on this channel, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think we see absolutely everything in the chat. It's probably the most, diverse football community I've ever read, ever seen, and I've been on loads of forums, I'm on social media. I don't actually see a lot of bias and agenda in there. Maybe I don't read it all, but as I said, Wednesday night, mainstream journalists are giving Bruno a 6. He was easily one of the men of the match. So, if you want to talk about... I think everyone's biased. Ultimately as well, I will acknowledge, I think everybody has a bias. Everybody has a bias. Of course they do. But I think sometimes, you've got to watch the game. And anybody who wants to give Maguire a 7 or an 8 yesterday, that's up to you. I'm absolutely stunned by it, but I will tell you something now. If Sims scores that goal, everyone who's given him a 7 or 8 are going, that's his fault, sell him. Because that's what you've been doing for weeks. You've been slagging him off for weeks and months. I've never heard anybody say anything positive about Maguire all season. He had a game yesterday, and suddenly people are going, oh, he's all right. He's all right. He had a good game. He had a good game. You've been slagging him off for weeks. The people on Twitter, I've seen their tweets slagging him off. So, how does that work, Ben? You've been saying selling him in his crap, and now you're saying, oh, he had an amazing game yesterday. I disagree. I don't think he did have an amazing game yesterday. I thought he made 2 or 3 mistakes, and if they'd have cost us a goal, God, people would have piled onto him. So, sometimes people read games differently, don't they? But I think there are agendas in this fan base, and I think, as I said, the agendas that really exist in this fan base are around first-team players like David De Gea, Bruno Fernandes, and Marcus Rashford, and Luke Shaw to a certain extent. I don't think agendas really exist around players that ain't even first-team players anyway. They're reserves, they're bench players. Well done, we won the game, we kept a clean sheet. If you want to give him a 7, you want to give him a 6, you want to give him a 9, I don't care. He'll be on the bench on Thursday because he's a bench player. That's what he is. And hopefully that's where he stays, because that means Varane and Martinez are fit. And I thought the rotation from Ten Hag actually was spot on yesterday. A lot of people moaned about Maguire starting. I would have started Lindelof, but the rotation was absolutely perfect to give Varane a rest. He can't play. I mean, look what's happened to Rashford. Resting, and that's something that hasn't been said. Resting Varane yesterday was brilliant by Ten Hag. Yes, we lost Rashford, but playing Varane 3 times in 6 days, you saw what happened to Rashford. That leaves Varane massively exposed to injury. So the rotation was right. Of course it was. Anyway, look, we are back. I'm back on That's Football. We're going to be live at 4 o'clock for a 4:30 kickoff. Liverpool against Arsenal. That's Football. Join me for that. Huge game. Why wouldn't you be watching that? And then, obviously, the United Stand will be live tonight. Love the Sunday night show. I don't know whether to do it at 7 or 8. Maybe do it at 7 straight after the football. I think that makes sense. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Fantastic performance from Manchester United yesterday. Let's hope we can... Happy Easter. Happy Casemiro's back. And let's take this positivity forward, definitely. I think we'll do 7 p.m. That's what people want. Okay, take care, everyone. Speak to you in a bit.